This is gonna
Hold it. Was this already going?
no.
Look at this.
Yeah, the timer's going. It's recording.
It's recording?
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
I take no responsibility.
So today we're gonna start on Nun Ches 58b. We're gonna start from Hahu Chiyusa. Was this animal? Probably a wild animal, because Chiyusa, right? So what we're doing is we're continuing a statement from Rav Huna. Let's go back to the Rav Huna statement. Go up 2-3 lines. Amar Rav Huna, Lo yishanu ala shechiser v'yeter biyad, aval chiser v'yeter b'regel treifa nami havi. My time kol yaseh kanatul dami. Rav Huna says that anything that's extra is considered as if it's been removed. So we don't consider any extra limb. The extra limb is as if it's not there. We said yesterday there were several opinions to what this means. One opinion is, well, the thing that's extra doesn't count. Now the problem is, which one is extra, since we don't know which one is the extra one. So this could be a treifa. The one that's supposed to be there is the extra one, is considered the extra one. The Ramban has a unique opinion, and his opinion is that it doesn't say kol yeser kechaser dami, it says kol yeser kenatul dami. And kenatul means as if it's been cut out. Now, cut out means that you're going to leave a hole. You're going to have a hole in it. So that's going to make it a treifa. Just the cutting out of it is, even though you didn't actually cut it out, but it's as if you cut it out. The Rashba argues on that. The Rashba says, it's all in the place. When you learn treifas, you'll see all of this in there. Because there's nafkaminas. For example, let's say a spleen. Just looking at this, I'm going to think differently.
What is it? Organic what?
Is it coffee?
Coffee beans.
Oh, you have to grain them.
You're talking about double spleen.
There's an extra spleen. So if the spleen is removed, it's kosher. If the spleen was cut, there was a problem. So what if you have an extra spleen? So what are you doing? You're cutting it out. If it depends where it's attached. Certain parts where it's attached, if you cut, it's going to make it. So this Ramban becomes relevant for different cases. Okay, so now the Gemara says, "Hu chiyusa dehavele tarti sani divi." There was this animal that has two appendix. I forget the word that he said. Sikkim.
We had this
Okam.
before. This is what a dog won't eat.
Right.
Wow.
A divi is a.
I didn't know what it was.
What's it? A divi is a. A wolf won't eat it because the dalet exchanges with the zayin. So it has two of these appendixes, or sikkim, whatever it's called. So that's a problem. And I saw the Ravina. They brought it to Ravina. But Tarfim with Rav Huna, he said it's treif, because Rav Huna says that anything that's extra is as if it's missing. So here it was like as if it's either cut out or whatever, or it's missing. However, if they pour it to one another, then it's considered one appendix, and it's kosher. It's considered one. Ahu guvsa. There was a tube. There was a tube that went out of the bekasi, is that stomach that has like a beehive skin, like those. What's the shape of the beehive? The honeycomb. What's the? Is that an octagon? No.
It's a hexagon.
Hexagon. The hexagon skin, and it goes to. The tube is going from it to the huvlila, which is the hemsis, which is another part of the stomach. Savar Ravashi lemitrafe. Ravashi says it's treif. He wants to say that it's treif. Amalei Rav Huna Mar Barchia. The Ravashi, Rav Huna Mar Barchia says to Ravashi, I'm not going to have this on the chart, but Ravashi is on the chart. Ravashi is the end of this is the end of the Talmudic discussion. Ravashi is down here. And I'm not going to have Rav Huna Mar Barchia. But he says to him, Kol hanichivi braisa achi yislu. No. This, all the wild animals, they all have this. This is a normal thing to have this tube that goes from one to another. This tube, what we're talking about here is sort of like a bypass. So you have this extra link that's linking these two parts. They're attached on the other side, but here we have this, it's reattached. Okay, so that's kosher. Who gubsa, there was a tube that was going from the Beis HaKosos, this hexagon skin stomach, to the keres, to the other stomach, to the main stomach. Savar Marbar Ravashi Lachshuri. Now here we have Marbar Ravashi, which is on the chart. Marbar Ravashi is the very last person on the chart. And he says that it's going to be kosher. Why? Because his father said, or had that case and it was kosher. Amalei Rav Oishia. So Rav Oishia says to him, Rav Oishia is not here. There is a Rav Oishia, but he's much earlier. And he's obviously not talking to Rav Oishia up there. He's not talking to Rav Oishia. So, Atukulu b'chada mechita machtinu. What do you put everything into the same weave? Just you're going to compare it, because when it came to the Beis HaKosos, to the Hemsis, to the Humlila, you said that was kosher. And now from the Beis HaKosos to the Keres, you're going to say that's kosher. Heichad itmar itmar, heichad leitmar leitmar. Where it was stated that it's kosher, it's kosher. Where it wasn't stated, it's not. Then it wasn't stated. So it doesn't mean that because there are animals that have something similar but different, that means that this is going to be kosher as well. That was different. Okay. Heyed nasan barshila rav tavachayed tzipar lifnei Rabbi. This we had before, that he was the head butcher. Nasan barshila was the head butcher of Tzipari, and he said in front of Rabbi, if there's two intestines in an animal, that it's trait. Obviously, it has to be an abnormality. It's not the small and the large. It's something that's abnormal. It must be that they're two separate tubes. Who connect them by kshera. However, by a bird, that's kosher. This is what he testified. He must have had it from tradition. So, b'medvar mamurim. When do we say that this is an issue? Sheyetzim b'shnei mekaymes. That it's coming out from two places. Avli yetzim makom echad v'kolin ad ke'etzba kshera. But if they come out, both of these intestines come out from the same place. And then it says v'kol nad ke'etzba. Now v'kol nad ke'etzba is a confusing term. We're going to argue about what this means. But it means that it completes at a finger's length. Then it's kosher. So pligi bar Rabami v'Ravasi. Rabami and Rabasi argue about what this means. Now, remember, Rabbi was in Tzipori here, and that's where he lived actually. And Rabami and Rabasi are two students of Rabbi Yochanan, and they argue often. Rabami and Rabasi. They had a very important bezdin. It says the bezdin of Rabami and Rabasi was as great as maybe Rebbe's or something. There's a statement about them that they had. And they argue about a lot of things. Sometimes chad this and chad that. Sometimes we don't know who said what. So, like here. Chad amar hu dahadri va'arvi. What does it mean? That means like it's a very small bypass. That it goes out and it comes immediately back. So it's just like a little loop. A little extra growth that grew, and it comes right back before the length of a finger. So it would be the length of a finger, bypass, just this little tiny loop. They say that's not a problem. B'chad amar, one of them says, afagav b'loi hadri va'arvi, even though it doesn't come right back in, link back. The Gemara says, bishleim l'manda mahuda hadri va'arvi. We understand bishleim means it's peaceful, works out well. It's at peace. If it comes back, we understand why it's kosher. It says it comes back. It's just one small finger's length, and perfect. But if it doesn't return, so mayad ketzba, what does it mean that it's a finger's length? It doesn't return. Gemara says ad ketzba mamata. It returns back to the intestines before the rectum, before a finger's length away from the rectum. That means it does come back into the intestinal the tract, but and that would also be good according to this other opinion, Rabami or Rabasi, whichever one is the way to do this. If you take the second one, then it's Rabasi. Because Rabami Rabasi Chad and one, I don't know how. Sometimes it does that. Okay, Rabbi Yehuda Aimer Imnitla Hanaitza Psula. Rabbi Yehuda says that if the down was removed, then it's possible. We have to go back to discuss this. Amar Rabbi Yechanan. Rabbi Yechanan says Rabbi Yehuda, Rabbi Shmuel, Amru Davar Echad. Rabbi Yechanan says that Rabbi Yehuda and Rabbi Shmuel say the same thing. Now, when this happens, usually it's trying to tell you that that's not the halacha. And Abaya does this often. Abaya will list out, make a list of all of the sages that all say the same thing, and the halacha is not like all of them. It's called they go in the shita. They have like a certain path, but the halacha doesn't follow that. Over here, it's not necessarily referring to that. And also, this is a little earlier. But Rabbi Yochanan should say this. Rabbi Yochanan says that Rabbi Yehuda, that says if the down is off, and Rabbi Shmuel, they say the same thing. Rabbi Yehuda Hadamer. Rabbi Yehuda we just discussed. The down is missing. It's puzzle. Rabbi Shmuel, the Tanan. Rabbi Shmuel, he says, it was taught in the Mishnah. Rabbi Shmuel Eimer Hanaitza Mitzdarefes. That the down
Can be.
combines. If someone slaughters an animal, a bird, does malika on a bird, and he has intention to eat a kazayas of it, or to burn a kazayas of it out of its proper time, so it becomes pigel. Now, it needs to be a kazayas, a full measurement. But let's say he doesn't. He has in mind that the kazayas is going to be combined with some of the down. He's going to be eating some of the down as well. So he doesn't have. He says a half a kazayas of the flesh and a half a kazayas of the down. So that's going to combine together, which means that the down is considered part of the skin. So, Rabbi Yehuda's opinion was that if it's missing the down, it's like missing the skin. Rabbi Shmuel is now saying that the down is like the skin. Yeah, that's why it's considered like they're saying the same thing. Gemara says, Rava says, Dilma Lahi. How do you know that that's the fact? It's a big gap over here from Rabbi Yechanan to Rava. I don't know. This Gemara doesn't tell me other girsais, but Dilma Lahi. Maybe it's not so. Ad kan lekam Rabbi Yehuda hachel in treifa. Maybe Rabbi Yehuda is talking about this. It's only regarding a treifa. You know, Rabbi Yehuda would hold that it's considered skin regarding pigel. That it's just a totally separate halacha. The leka midi the meganalev, because it doesn't have anything protecting it. If gule, but when it comes to pigel, someone has intention that he's going to eat the down. Karabanan tzfirle, maybe he would hold that that's not considered the skin of the bird, the down.
Not royal lamachal keler.
Right. Right. Why would he say that? Why do we have to say that just because he holds that it's the skin regarding treifa? Any haris there? V'ad kan like Rabbi Shmuel Hasim in the reverse as well. When it comes to Rabbi Shmuel, he says Elul le'inyan nefgule. Maybe he only holds that this is regarding pigel, that it's considered the skin. Abel inyan treifa, but regarding a treifa, yiguni le'megan. Maybe it doesn't need that protection. Maybe it doesn't need that protection from the down. And maybe Rabbi Shmuel would hold that it's not a treifa. So in other words, we thought that we can match them together, but the halachas are not exactly in the same line. One is regarding considering it food, considering it skin. One is regarding protection. Okay.
Because you can't live for 12 months without the skin.
Right. Well, gluda we said was a machlekes, the Reb Meir and
The whole body, machlikas, a little bit less.
Right. Okay. We have a new Mishnah here. Talking about the animals that have different problems and if they're considered a treifa. Achuzas adam. If it's congested with blood. I'm not exactly sure if this means that everything is red in it, and the ancient way of healing this was with bloodletting, or if this was some other illness. I don't know exactly. Do they explain what achuzas dam is? Okay.
In English, look at English.
Do we have a illness today that someone has too much blood and they have to do bloodletting? Does that exist today, or is that just an ancient?
Where's Dr. Sam?
Dr. Stein.
I know they do that sometimes with sucking cups. They cut
Right.
the skin in the back.
Yeah, we don't do it today.
Suck out the blood.
Right. But that may be an alternative medicine that's not actually.
Which one is it you
may
mentioned?
not be what modern science.
With worms?
Oh, right.
Oh, with the cups. Also with some worms.
Vamushenes, if it has smoke inhalation. Vamitsunenes, or it has a bad cold. It's chilled. Sha'achla hardufni, or if it ate a type of poison, a poison for animals. We're in the Steinsaltz Gemara. He says that it's oleander, which doesn't help me at all. Hardufni is just as good. Okay. V'sha'achla tzayas tanagaylam, or it ate droppings from a chicken. Or it drank water that was left open, which could be drank something venomous, drank from it and left a venom in it. So all of those are kshera. Not necessarily where the animal have died, and this is considered a kosher animal, could survive those things. Let's say it ate poison. Now,
man,
this has to be that it ingested poison that would be poison for a human. Before it was poison for an animal that would have killed it, but we said no, it could survive it. I guess it can build up the. If it starts with small doses, it can build up. Okay, Oishe Kisha Nachash, or let's say it was bitten by a snake. So the halacha by these last two things, either poison for a man or it was bitten by a snake, it's muteres mishum treifa. We don't consider it that it's a treifa. However, assume mishum sakanas nefashos, but you don't eat that meat because it's dangerous. So it could be the poison would go into the flesh.
Kind of metama?
You mean as nevela?
Yeah.
No, it's shchita.
Right, so
The shchita was matarit. Okay, Omar Shmuel. Shmuel adds to this, to the Mishnah. He says, Halita chiltis treifa. So chiltis is very, very strong, sharp vegetable. Maybe a root vegetable. Again, Steinsaltz says it's asafoetida.
Here also.
That's what they say. Doesn't help me much. The Gemara says, and the Gemara is going to say that it causes my time, why is it a treifa? The minkavalu l'mayane. It causes an ulcer. It's so sharp, so strong that if it eats it, it causes an ulcer. Why would it eat it? It was sick and it thought that this would help it or something. So here's another treifa that we're adding into this. And it was in the Mishnah, we didn't really have a treifa, just from eating these and anything. Shmuel says that no, we actually do have a treifa from if it eats something, if it eats chiltis, and when it talks about cutting things, when it talks about cutting with a knife, that it's nice and calm, that the knife gives off a flavor, even if the knife wasn't used in 24 hours, if it's sharp. So one of the things that it discusses is chiltis, because chiltis is considered sharp. Very sharp. Wasabi. Massive Rav Shizbi. Rav Shizbi has a question. Quotes a Tosefta. It says, Achuzas Adam, if it's congested with blood, Vamushenes, Sounds very much like the Mishnah so far, and it's inhaled smoke. Sha'achla hardufni, or it ate hardufni. So far, it's good. We just missed the mitzunenes. Sha'achla tzayas tarnagolim, or it ate droppings from a chicken. V'shasas mayim marayim. It's all the same thing, everything. And it drank the bad water that was left out. He'll eat a teya if it ate teya. Teya we're going to see is some other root. Also, possibly the root of the chiltis. Possibly it's another root. We'll see in the Gemara. Chiltis, or it ate chiltis, upilpulin, or peppers, achlas amamavis, or it ate poison, kshera. This is a problem. Shmuel just said that chiltis makes it a treifa. We have a tesefta that says that it's kshera, that it's kosher, even though it ate the chiltis. Ikisha nachash, if it was bitten by a snake, oisha nashcha kelev shaita. If it was bitten by a wild dog with rabies probably. And muteris mishum treifa, that's not considered a treifa. However, vasur mishum sakanas nefashis, but it's usher because of dangerous to eat that flesh. The Gemara asks, kasha chiltis achiltis. You have a contradiction when it comes to chiltis, but also kasha samamavis asamamavis. If you notice, by us it says achla samamavis is kshera. If it eats poison, it's kosher. In the Mishnah we had achla samamavis. We said it's not a treifa, but it's usher because of sakanas nefashis. If it ate poison, assuming the poison would go into the flesh, and then someone that eats the flesh would be ingesting the poison. The Gemara answers, chiltis achiltis like kasha. There's no question when it comes to the contradiction of chiltis. Kan ba'olin, kan bekratin. It depends if it's the leaves or if it's the pieces. Kratin sounds like chopped up pieces of the root, or of the, I don't know if it's a root or a fruit, a vegetable. Samamavas to samamavas like kasha. Let me just clarify that probably the leaves is still kosher, but if it eats the pieces, that's I'm making an assumption here that it doesn't say clearly which one is which. But I'm assuming the leaves would be less sharp than the actual root or the fruit. And when it comes to the poison, it's also not a problem because hadi day, hadi adam. It depends which type of poison. If it ate poison that would kill it, or could kill it, then if a human eats it, that's not a problem. Whether the rat poisoning, right? But nevertheless, it doesn't mean that it's dangerous. If it ate it, for you to eat the flesh of it. But if it ate poison, that's poisonous for a human. Cyanide, or I don't know what type of poisons there are. So that we say is dangerous to eat. The Gemara says, 1 second. Samamavas to behema, hainu hardufni. We already said a poison for an animal. If you notice in the Mishnah, we didn't mention samamavas of an animal. We just had a type of root. We said this oleander, hardufni, that's poisonous for an animal. So Gemara says, okay, trei gavni samamavis. We gave you two types of poisons. We gave you one that's called samamavis, very generic, and one is called ardufni. It's a specific type of poison. The Gemara asks, my teya. What is teya? It says if it eats teya or chiltis, we said that it's kosher. Amar Rav Yehuda says, ikra de merirka. It's the root of something that's very bitter. And Rashi says it's, in French, it's called tura. And Steinsaltz says that it's called crowfoot. Again,
Hot.
I don't know what does the art scroll say.
Yeah, Connacht, A-C-O.
The art scroll is very good with French in the Rashi Chumash. It's called the Saperstein. Over there they translate the French.
Wolf's Bane or Monk's Hood?
Okay, that's
Those are.
very interesting. Now, Taisvis also gets involved in this. He says Rashi calls it Tura in French, but somewhere else Rashi calls it Amruphile. Interesting. All right. Amruphile. Amar Rav Yehuda. Rav Yehuda goes on. Now, Rav Yehuda is a second generation Amira. He just gave us a translation a minute ago. Now he's going on to discuss some other medicinal or dangerous activities. Amarav Haiman de Achal Tchlasa Tikli Chiltis. If a person eats 3 shekel, it means a type of weight, 3 weights of chiltis, aliba rekana, on a empty heart, it means like probably before he eats. The Gemara and the Psukim talk about food, that it strengthens the heart. Bread strengthens the heart. So here he eats on an empty heart. It means before he ate a meal. So mishtalach meshchei, he sheds his skin. The skin would like peel off him because of the burning.
It's chlitas.
What is it called?
It's from the chlitas. What?
From the chiltis.
Here it says that it's called asufetid. It's a dried latex excluded from the rhizome or taproot of several species of ferula. There's pictures of it.
Oh wow!
So Google.
For Avram Nassim Rothis, you order it from Amazon.
So
This is supposedly there's the flowers and the roots and the
So we said the flowers are not as dangerous.
It's amazing. It's
the
amazing.
seeds. The seeds. Right?
It's amazing that they know that. Like the flowers are okay with that. It means like somebody was the guinea pig. Like they right. How do you feel now? How do you feel now? Like what?
Well, all these
I think
all these
obviously people
herbalists,
ate it. They enjoyed it.
Yeah.
People look at the next story. It's like crazy.
How do these herbalists? How do they have all of that
I
information?
don't know.
There's like huge encyclopedias of herbs. And,
It's unbelievable. Even like they also like the Indians knew this and that cured this. And that.
right. So this must have been some sort of medicine, but it had to be administered, properly. If they ate too much, Amar Rabbi Vo says, "B'didi haviyovta." It happened to me. Rabbi Vo is in Israel, here, and I'm not sure exactly how he's getting that information, but maybe he heard from one of the sages brought it, maybe Ula or Ravin or Rabdimi, those travelers. They bring it over to him. And B'didi Aviyovda, he says, it happened to me. V'achli chad tik lechiltis. I only had one measurement, one weight of chiltis. Bilay diasvi b'mayin, if I didn't sit in the water to cool down his body, mishtalach mishchi, my skin would have peeled off. V'kayamti bi'atzmi, but I fulfilled in myself v'achachma tichya baleh, that the wisdom gives life to those that own it. In other words, he did something very intelligent, and he saved his life. Amar Rav Yosef.
It says here that the Rambam says it's a good idea to eat a little bit of it in the rainy days.
Oh yeah? I guess it means it's
Keep
warm.
you warm.
It's warm.
Crazy.
You go try it.
Hi man, this man, this fellow, Dachal Shitzrei Bei, that he eats 16 eggs. V'arba'i amguzi, and he eats 40 nuts. V'shev butisa de parchi, and he eats 7 caper fruits. There's capers and there's caper berries. Caper. There's the flour. We when they put on salmon, that's the flour. Then they have caper berries, which are they're like the size of grapes.
Yeah, they're big ones.
They're big ones. Yeah, I usually don't see them often, but they have them pickled also. Also the same type of flavor. The Gemara has a big discussion about the brachas on the different parts of the caper tree. If you look at the picture of the kaisel, there's a bush growing out of the kaisel. There's a bush. That's a caper bush.
Oh, really?
And in Israel,
Oh,
all
the
the
wall,
different
yeah,
parts
the
on the wall, they're
stones.
sticking out of the wall. The krill is like in strange, like that. But every part of the caper bush was edible. The leaf and this and the question in the Gemara is what bracha you say on each part, because which is the main fruit. So there are 4 different things on the caper bush. Someone eats the caper fruits. So 7 of them. V'shasi revius of the dubsha, and he drinks a revius of honey. So, B'tkufas Tammuz aliba rekna, and he does this in July, Tammuz, on an empty stomach. Misaka Talia deliba, his heart will come off, will drop its connections.
Yes, the heartstrings will snap.
The heartstrings will
You eat
snap.
that much on any day, in one time.
16 eggs, that's what, cholesterol.
Mm, the cholesterol, that's interesting.
What's this condition?
Thank you. It's probably in your notes. Probably with the cholesterol.
So it's pretty
Growth of fetus, growth of fetus.
Hi Bartavia. There was a deer, or a young deer, the Asal Beirish Galusa, that came to the Exilarch. He was the head of the community in Bavel. It was called the Reish Galusa, similar to the Nasi in Israel. Dabi Mifsa Karen Basraisa. So the deer was in the house of the Reish Galusa, and it had its hind legs were cut. Bodki Rab B'tumas Agidin V'Achrei. Rab checked that place where the sinews meet, and he said it was kosher. Saval Amechel Minei B'Umtza. He wanted to eat it umtza. Umtza is a cured raw meat. And Amalei Shmuel tells him, like Chayesh Mar L'Nikure, aren't you worried that it was bitten by a snake? And I guess the problem with its legs, I think he's saying that maybe the reason why it has this issue was because of a snake bite.
That's how the leg
That's
broke.
how the leg, I guess. So Amalei Maitakante. So Rav tells Shmuel,